Hello, everyone. Now, Session 2 on Japan's nuclear program after Fukushima will begin now. I'll hand it over to our moderator, An from JTBC.
Hello. Good evening. Before I introduce myself and our panelists, let me make a very important announcement. Now, after the end of this session, the opening dinner for the Asan Plenum will be held at the Lotte Hotel, which is right next door, at the Crystal Ballroom. So for those of you who have already registered for the dinner, the staff will be in the main lobby after this session to help you make your way to Lotte Hotel. So don't get lost. I'm sure you're all hungry after a full day of discussions, very important discussions. So let's do that after this session. All right. Now, once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Asan Plenum session on Japan's nuclear program after Fukushima. I'm An I'm a senior reporter with the TV arm of the Chungang Ilbo. It's christened JTBC. TBC here it's not to be confirmed. It's something else. But which will be Korea's #1 channel for news and entertainment once it goes on air later this year. That is my hope. Now, as we heard several speakers mention earlier in the day today, Japan was struck by a devastating earthquake and ensuing tsunami, which was about twice the height of this room. That was 3 months ago on March 11th. And even today we had a report out that more radioactive material has been detected in the waters around the Fukushima plant. And since that day, the distinguished guests we have with us on this panel now probably spent one of the busiest times of their lives since they're involved in one way or another with the nuclear programs in Japan and Korea. And we're very, very honored to have them with us in this session. So allow me to introduce my panelists, Professor Shuichi Iwata, to my left. He is the professor in the Human and Engineered Environmental Studies Department at the University of Tokyo. He has recently come out with a paper calling for a paradigm shift in how we prepare for the next big earthquake or tsunami with regards to nuclear plants. And next to Professor Iwata is Mr. Katsuhisa Furukawa. He is the research fellow of the Research Institute of Science and Technology for Society at Japan Science and Technology Agency. He is in charge of research projects on counterterrorism and homeland security for Japan, and he's going to be able to offer us some insight in that area connected to the nuclear program as well. And next to Mr. Furukawa is Professor Hwang Il-soon. He is a nuclear materials expert with Seoul National University's College of Engineering. He has focused on the lessons that Korea can learn from Fukushima since that day on March 11th. And last but of course not least is Dr. Tatsujiro Suzuki. He is the vice chairman of Japan's Atomic Energy Commission. He recently made several comments, of course, in the press about what to do about the incident that happened in Fukushima, and I'm sure he again will be able to offer us some policy insights as well. So without further ado, let me hand things over to Professor Iwata.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Chairperson. As the first speaker from Japan, I'd like to express my personal thanks to all the helps from the world and also very useful advices to make the Japanese nuclear reactors more stable and better. And as I'm one of scholar, very naive scholar, to learn about nuclear fuels and materials in the beginning, and now I have been focusing how to realize the sustainability by taking advantage of nuclear energy. And so I'd like to speak a little bit about the global view about nuclear. And in the beginning, I'd like to say that in 869, the one famous, most famous scholar in Japan, the Michizane Sugawara, published a document about the big earthquake that is very similar to the Tohoku earthquake. And he wrote a document, but we haven't learned that kind of explanation from the original paper or original record. And afterwards, in this century, I visited Kalpakram, India. And at that time, I saw the area attacked by tsunami. But in my capacity, I could not associate that tsunami attack to Japanese reactors or to the world reactors. So the nature does not say a lie or does not make mistakes. But as an expert, sometimes my viewpoint is very narrow, and I could not associate the important thing to the real fact or some risks in the future. And so I have prepared some slides, but you cannot see, and I can only see here. And but the title of my talk I prepared is Re-Engineering of Nuclear Engineering. And it is, I think, I have summarized about 3 million records that is prepared by IAEA about the nuclear science and technology, and analyzed in the bibliometric way and added the oral histories in these 50 years. And at the end, I felt last year that we really need a re-engineering of nuclear engineering to explore the new dimension, rather than the nuclear renaissance, but it should be written over. The people or experts changes, and the young people need to take care of the nuclear science and technology, and all the science contents, knowledge, data, and other kind of thing should be prepared for the new generation to work easier and better. And in that context, we had been not ready until March 11th. And so, how much time? So I have already expired almost all times. And also, I skip all these things, but as a subject of Vita Nova, I'll explain a little bit about the science. And I categorize science, observation science, experimental science, theoretical science, computational science, data science, and design science. In case of observation science, we are not ready for the earthquake and tsunami, and only the Shinkansen or bullet train could take advantage of the pre-signal to stop all the trains within a second. And in case of nuclear reactors, our colleagues were successful to stop nuclear reactions. But we cannot succeed to cool down and other kind of things. And in case of a train, if I simplify the science, it's Newton mechanics. But in case of nuclear engineering, we need to control not only nucleonics, but chemistry and many things. And at the end, we need to work with the people who are living in the vicinity of nuclear reactors. And sociology is very important at the end. So many observation science is necessary, and observed data are not enough. And in case of experimental science, just after the blackout, there are shortage of information. And based on the insufficient data and information, we could not derive in a proper way. And it is reflecting the weakness of our science and engineering, and we need to be ready. And in case of theoretical science, we are very good to focus on one theory, but it is not so easy to bridge two theories. And usually the real event could be described by many theories, and to bridge the theories, we have not yet ready. And in case of computational science, there are many calls about severe core damage and diffusion of radioactive materials, but the semantics or the meaning of each software are not clearly defined, and the usage of the calculated data are not perfect. And so computational science needs to be revised or developed. And also, in case of data science, there are too many data of different qualities and too many explanations in the world and too many confusions to the society and fear and stress to the society we have created or we have generated. And so, for the data science, we must improve more and more. And for the design science, our main target might be the prosperity of the society. And in that context, I think we need to have a holistic view, take into account many things, and compensate or complement the insufficient area by our wisdom and knowledge and derive better solutions. It is not one solution, but to balance different solutions and to derive solutions together is very important. And so as to do so, we need to have some well-qualified data, and I call it global information commons. And I hope our Fukushima data, as the case of old scholar in Japan, he prepared a document about the big tsunami. And we Japanese need to prepare the good documents that could be used as a best reference for further issues. And so it is our role. And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That was Professor Iwata's very humble and insightful analysis of what needs to be done to prevent something like Fukushima from happening again. Professor, you mentioned the commons. Could you tell us a little bit more about that concept?
Yeah, and I've committed some sort of work on data commons. And in case of Boston Common, that area shared by everyone. And in case of scientific data or technological data, especially in case of Fukushima, all the data should be shared by everyone for the improvement of our understanding and for the improvement of our decision. Mm-hmm. And so the information commons I proposed in the World Summit in the Information Society in Tunis. And after that World Summit, something happened due to Facebook.
Something happened due to Facebook?
Due to Facebook.
Okay, I think you can tell us more about that afterwards when we open up the questions for the floor. Now, let's move on to Mr. Furukawa. Yes.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would also like to express sincere appreciation for all the foreign support for the relief and relief efforts in Japan after the tsunami and the earthquakes, especially specifically on this nuclear power reactor accidents. We are highly grateful for support provided by the United States and France. Prior, the scale of earthquake that we have experienced this year on March 11th is a black swan, namely it happens only once in 1,200 years. The question is, how do we prepare for black swan in the coming years? Just after the nuclear reactor accidents, now the Tokyo Electricity Power Corporation, or TEPCO, has been very severely criticized for not having been prepared for this level of earthquake that may or may not come only once in 1,000 years. But this is a reality. The public's perception of risk can change dramatically in a matter of days if they experience severe accidents. And throughout this nuclear emergency management, Japan has learned various lessons learned. Let me just spell out very briefly about what challenges and lessons we have been learning so far, and what policy issues has to be addressed in the future. The before the earthquake, the TEPCO and all the other nuclear power reactors, nuclear power companies in Japan have had a very good nuclear emergency preparedness planning. It looks very good on paper, but with the help of hindsight, if you read these manuals for nuclear emergency response plan, there are many assumptions that have not been addressed thoroughly. For one thing, the nuclear power company have been assuming only one nuclear reactor programs, not multiple nuclear reactor programs. And all the preparedness plan was based upon the assumption that electricity power will be provided to the nuclear reactors constantly. All these assumptions went wrong. And same is true for the government response plan for nuclear emergency. Japanese government, after the nuclear criticality accident in 1999, have enacted special measures, a law concerning the special measures about the nuclear emergency preparedness. And since year 2000, for the past over 10 years, both local governments, national government, and nuclear power industry, they have been constantly conducting exercise, training, to meet with what they thought was a plausible scenario of nuclear disasters, and they improved and upgraded their manuals and operational plans to respond to nuclear hazard every year. Even so, after all these efforts, this is the best we can do, as we have seen in Japan today. Previously, some of the private companies have proposed that at one point, probably Japan should also have exercise based upon the conditions of multiple disasters, namely exactly the disaster that we have today. But in the past, the government and also local municipalities' response was as, maybe that's too much. Let's go with TMI, the 3 Mile Island accidents. That might be the reasonably plausible scenario. So all the response plan of Japan have been based upon this hypothesis to meet with a possibility of coming disasters, equivalent to the size of the 3 Mile Island instance. But now the reality overwhelmed this response plan. What happened after that? Government, local municipalities, and also private sectors, they had previously set up a very elegant plan for response systems. But this time, this response system was never mobilized. Original Japanese, the stakeholders' plan was to set up local headquarters to command and control the disaster situations from the site close to the nuclear power plant. But this was not mobilized this time. And instead, Prime Minister himself, who have the scientific background, decided to take control directly. So the direction came all the way from Prime Minister's office. However, this new modality of command and control system, which was quickly established just after the earthquake, for the first time in the history of Japan, created a significant confusion. Different agencies and ministries and also TEPCO have separate press conferences. Occasionally, they are speaking about confronting views or informations, creating confusions to the Japanese public, and not to mention created even more significant confusion to our friends and partners in foreign countries. In my view, the real casualty or real hazards caused by this Fukushima nuclear accidents is not so much about the tangible health hazard, but it's more about rumor or perception hazard derived from this accident. The self-defense force or even TEPCO try to introduce unmanned air vehicles or robotics for the purpose of surveillance to areas which are highly contaminated by radiation. And we have received very helpful technical advice or support from US and France. However, if you're not accustomed to using them in the peacetime, you can't swiftly mobilize or deploy these equipments to the hazard site because of, first of all, technical problems, and secondly, there are differences in technical applications between Japan and other countries. The US robotics, it took some time for the TEPCO to adjust to US robots, which operate under different wireless frequencies. All these technical problems proved to be very problematic. So we have to be prepared for the hazard from the peacetime. And risk communication is the most important lesson that we would like to share with foreign countries. Don't even think about holding different press conferences with different explanations by multiple stakeholders. And don't try to hide information because they're concerned that such information's revelation might possibly cause panic among the public. Publics are more clever than what you think. And also, we got to be able to translate scientist language into a more easy language, which can be understood by everybody. In a way, we need to find a way to bridge between political authorities and scientists from the normal time. This is one of the key lessons we have learned. And also, we have to think about nuclear safety and security standards to make this standard more stringent. Nuclear power industry has been conducting a thorough planning based upon what they thought was a reasonably best probabilistic risk assessment method. But this method proved to be either insufficient or probably not implemented appropriately. So if you have this kind of risk assessment, you need somebody else to challenge this risk assessment. Somebody has to dare to assume the unthinkable scenario of what if. So I would strongly recommend you to come up with a more team B exercise or future foresight or whole other methodologies. And lastly, I'd like to just make one proposal for the future collaboration in this regard. First of all, we have to cooperate with each other to prepare for and also conduct our planning and exercise to meet with this kind of nuclear emergency or even catastrophic hazard internationally and also regionally. We have to learn from each other's mistakes and experiences. And also we have to examine, probably we should discuss the idea to create a new international body which is commissioned to do the nuclear safety and security regulation. Many people assume that IAEA is already doing that. But remember that IAEA's primary mission is to promote the safe, peaceful use of nuclear energy. IAEA would have a conflict of interest if it is tasked for nuclear safety regulatory missions. I think we have to discuss the possibility of establishing some kind of international commission or some apparatus in charge of nuclear safety and security. The problem that Japan experienced is a nuclear power accident, but similar acts or hazard could be also caused by malicious acts of terrorism or even crimes if there is some help of insiders. So this has significant implications not only for the nuclear accident prevention management, but also counter-nuclear terrorism or other related catastrophic hazard. I will stop my remarks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Very enlightening. Now, listening to Mr. Furukawa's comments, I was thinking, what would happen if a tsunami happened and it struck North Korea? How well, I mean, from what little we know about North Korea's nuclear program, how would North Korea deal with such an incident, do you think?
Well, I don't know the technical details of the North Korean nuclear facilities, so I'd rather ask other experts. But I can only tell you that I have never thought that North Korea could, the response plan could match our capability. And particularly, there is increasing concern about the eruption of a mountain in North Korea. If this is the case, concerned countries, including Japan, has to address this risk ASAP. This should be a priority concern, in my view.
All right, thank you. Now, again, Professor Huang? Yes, it's over to you.
Well, I first would like to express my condolence to our Japanese friend and national public in general to this tragic accident. And this is extremely sad to all Korean and as well as Northeast Asian people because we all share the same problems of energy shortage and the dependence on nuclear power. More than that, Japan has been role model for Korean economical and political and societal development. So it's like bringing up a dark side of Northeastern Asian society. So in that sense, we would like to find the good lessons and try to work together to avoid repetition of this tragic event. This tragedy is a terror of nature, obviously, but also it's a terror of unfriendly technology. More importantly, this is a terror of bureaucracy, to tell you frankly. We saw to the amaze that public has been so orderly putting up the inability of the government, non-transparency of all the agencies, and lapse of their decision-making process. But to Koreans, it's an infuriating experience. And the reason why we were infuriated is because we have the same problem here. If this happened in Korea, we could have been 100 times worse. That's why we like to, even though I'm not Japanese, we like to speak up the problem of Japan so that Japan will take the leadership to fix it so that we can learn from Japan as well. And energy is important business, most important in magnitude. It's a $10 trillion business per year. Twice the size of food industry, 4 times the size of electronic and information science altogether. So Japan made the right decision to depend on nuclear power because it imports 96% of energy consumption. So did Korea. So we are proud. We followed Japanese decision. Even after this, because we know there are technological elements already. We already have industrially proven solution. We just didn't use it. Why? We were too optimistic. We didn't have a lot of bad experience like the United States did. Now we do. Thanks to Japan for showing the world how terrible this one is. Now we start from all over. And this is a priority issue. We should put smartest people and best organization. And also we should make it transparent, vigilant, and also very humble. So, in addition, we learned from this event that it's a security issue, and Japan, like Korea, are suffering from military and all other tensions in Northeast Asia, and we should not pretend we are prepared. And both countries are aging, not only in demography, also in spiritually. We are getting tired. So this experience should be used to revitalize our spirit and retighten our morale and also industrial competitiveness to make nuclear power peaceful, clean, and inexpensive. And I'm very pleased to learn from Professor Suzuki, Vice Chairperson of Atomic Energy Commission of Japan, who I respect very much. Japan decided to make a nuclear regulator independent and competent. They will announce it at IAEA ministerial meeting starting on 20th of this month. We are very much grateful because we can follow Japanese case to make our problem fixed and then help China to fix their problem so that we won't finger point each other by sending radioactive cloud to other side. So in that sense, I see this disaster a new start for growth, new opportunity. So I'd like to ask both government to open up and start bona fide cooperation to clean up, to close this accident, and also for non-governmental organization to start shaking hands. I call, why don't you set up Fukushima Forum and have this kind of meetings every year, maybe every semester or every season? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we heard two very good points today from Professor Huang about how Japan is going to be announcing later this month that they're going to make their inspection arm for nuclear program independent. So we'll look forward to that. And also the Fukushima Forum that's been proposed. We hope to see that move forward in the future. Professor Huang, again, let's see, Mr. Furukawa kind of tossed that question to you about North Korea. You mentioned China, but what about North Korea?
Very good question. We have no knowledge about North Korea, but if they have tsunami there, we'll find out how much enriched uranium they have.
So, yeah, hopefully we will not find out the hard way. Hopefully, yes. Well, of course, last but not least, Dr. Suzuki,
Yes.
take it away, please.
Thank you. I don't want to repeat again, but I have to express my sincere thanks also to the Korean people and all over the rest of the world to help us during the accident. And also, I'd like to thank the organizer. This is an excellent opportunity for us to share the experience of Fukushima. But I have a small note to the organizer, unfortunately. This booklet is excellent, but my bio was wrong. It's my fault, but I was wondering whose bio was in it. I just want this says that I was a nuclear safety commissioner, which was wrong, and I think they made a mistake. There's another big Professor Suzuki who was a nuclear safety commissioner. Anyway, so that was a wrong bio. So I sent already the right bio already to the organizer. Anyway, thank you very much. I have 4 points to the remark. One is that the title of this session is After Fukushima. But I'd like to tell you that Fukushima is not over yet. Still going on. And the first priority of the government is, of course, to contain the event as soon as possible and clean up the area. So this will still continue to be a kind of crisis situation. So that's the first thing I'd like to say. But the magnitude of the accident is roughly 1/10 of the Chernobyl in terms of quantity of radioactivity and contaminated land of the radioactivity. But still, very serious, because three core meltdown is very serious. The second point is of course, the safety and welfare of the public around the area. Those people still cannot go back, and so we have to make sure that their welfare will be secured, and then how soon they can come back is the most critical question for them. So cleanup and the monitoring of the area is another second important thing. The third point is the lessons learned. We have already listened to the three previous speakers about the lessons already learned. In this context, I just want to introduce the report by the Japanese government, which I brought on the desk, released just last week. And this is the first government report regarding the Fukushima. So please read it, about 5 categories and 25 points, including those are the points that all of three mentioned. And finally, the fourth is the energy issue, the impact of the energy policy in Japan. And the first one, within this, we have to separate the short-term and long-term issue. The short-term issue is, of course, how to secure the safety of existing plants. At this moment, out of 54 units, only 19 units are operating. 35 units are shutting down. Because of the accident, 14 units, the rest are shutting down because of maintenance. It is very difficult to restart up those plants unless the public is assured of safety. So this is the first priority. If the public, particularly the local public, does not approve the restart of the nuclear power plants, by early next year, 9 more units will be shut down. By the end of next year, all of nuclear power plants will be shut down. So that could be a serious problem for energy shortage for Japan. In a longer-term issue, before Fukushima, the government plan is to build another 14 nuclear power plants by 2030, and the share of nuclear power is expected to increase from current 30% to 50%. That was the plan before Fukushima. Now, the government said it will scrap all this plan. It's going back to the scratch, zero. And the Prime Minister spoke at the OECD meeting 2 weeks ago, actually 3 weeks ago, before the summit. The 4 new pillars of a new energy policy. First is nuclear power with the highest standard of safety. Second pillar is expansion of renewable energy. The third pillar is efficient use of fossil fuel. And the fourth is efficiency, improvement efficiency in household and commercial sectors. So those are the 4 new pillars, and we just started the deliberation of these policies. We still don't know how long it will take to go to the new policy. Finally, in order to achieve those new policy, we need public trust. Public trust has been lost due to this accident. According to the recent public poll, the majority of the public is gradually shifting toward reducing the dependence on nuclear power. Before the accident, more than 50% supported the increased expansion of nuclear power, but now more than 50% of the public is prefer reducing nuclear power. So that's the challenge for the Japanese government. I will stop my speech here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we have about, 25 minutes or so for questions and answers. I will let somebody else throw the question at Dr. Suzuki. Yes, please. Could you tell us who you are and yes?
Hello. Is it on? Yes. I'm Wang from Beijing Foreign Ministry. Have a couple of questions to Mr. Furukawa. 2 actually. The first one relates to the current known practice for safety checks of nuclear reactors for civilian use, and this is very much done through peer review, either nationally or internationally, because basically the national regulatory authorities are the highest authority for administering the safety issue. Given the case of Fukushima, which is very, very unfortunate, how much do we still depend in future, rely on the peer review method? Because this one relates to the second question. Actually, it is very much the lesson that you gave very wisely, because you mentioned probably there is need for an international body. Then, of course, you mentioned that probably this new body should be separate from the IAEA. What kind of a mechanism should we really realistically see? For instance, will we see such an international body be given, for instance, the ultimate authority to give the final sanctions for the reactors? Thank you.
I think the first question, Dr. Suzuki and Professor Iwata might be able to better answer. In my view, well, let me first of all start with the second question. It's not, first of all, easy to construct a new international commission, that's for sure. Particularly if we envision something like IAEA, it's out of there. It's simply a dream. But I think even if it were with a smaller scale organization in the form of some kind of commission to begin with, it might be a start. And our existing various international bodies could provide technical help, including those from IAEA. That might be at least plausible, in my view, and require some discussions about whether there are some other types or options for such body. But whatever style it may take, I believe that we need that, because I'm concerned about many other countries' nuclear reactors, especially those in Iran, by the way. They are situated just right in the middle of the major earthquake zone. And the peer review method, you are absolutely right. This is, I think, one of the most heated discussion in my understanding. The current nuclear regulation oversight mechanism has deficiencies, particularly after government organizational reform in year 2000. Until that, all the nuclear scientific expertise and experience, they were all put together in one agency, which is Science and Technology Agency by them. But industry regulatory oversight was taken off from this rich body of nuclear expertise in the governmental reform in year 2000. Currently, the industry technical oversight is really they heavily rely upon their expertise in the private industry. But government officials are comparatively very amateur, I must confess. And how do you train the professional officials in this regulatory body is also a heated discussion, I think, in my understanding. But other Japanese experts could possibly.
Right. Dr. Suzuki, do you think you could address that part of the question? Yeah.
I think the independent nature of the regulation is very important. That's what also the government also now admitted that we should do that. The question of independence has two meanings. One is political independence. And the second is what Furukawa-san was talking about, technical independence. We should not depend on the regulated parties on technical judgment. And in order to do that, we need a resource. And currently, Nuclear Safety Commission supervise Nuclear Industry Safety Agency, which is a regulatory authority. So the resource is divided into two, so which is not necessarily good. So as he said, it's better to concentrate. But still, the bureaucracy, Japanese bureaucracy system is to circulate the people in the different agencies. So it does not cumulatively, expertise is not cumulative. So that's another important issue for how to secure the technical resource within the safety regulation. That's another big issue. But in any case, that independent nature will be very important from now on. Yeah.
Yes. Question?
Hello, Martin Fack. It's on? It's on? Okay. Martin Fackler with the New York Times. I wonder if I could ask you, what is the single biggest lesson to learn from Fukushima? And in particular, is it wise or safe to build nuclear plants in earthquake zones? And I know that this would exclude a lot of Japan, but still, I mean, it seems like every time there's an earthquake, there's a problem. Right? Kashiwazaki in 2007, there was a fire. Now there's talk about Hamaoka. You go down to Shimane Genpatsu has a problem with, they've found a fault line beneath it. I mean, can we really make these things safe?
Professor Iwata?
Yeah, it's a very difficult question, but anyway, I think they have done very well, from my sense, and the triple attacks. And so they have succeeded to shut down the reactor. And in that sense, they are very successful. But and also I heard that, to be honest, I have never been Fukushima site after the March 11th. So I might be there soon. So I could not say the real status. But I heard that it is some sort of groupware works to collaborate by the producers and engineers and some managers, and they have been discussing and listing up different options and select the best option and afterwards sometimes it was not successful and it is successful. And it is a typical multiple organ failures. And even in case of our body, we cannot expect. It's a typical, very complex systems performance, and we need to carry out a very suitable treatment, or we need to write down suitable remedies and actions and getting information, and next actions will be prepared. And that is a very big challenge and big fighting about how to control the uncertainties. And so in that sense, I think by chance I had been in Chernobyl during the accident, so as to discuss the 25th anniversary of Chernobyl. And the main concern is how to take advantage of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki data for low dose effects to the people who is near Chernobyl. And just on the same day, when I discussing that one in Kiev, Fukushima accident happened. And but in that case, the real lesson is different from one case to another. And in case of Chernobyl, all the people say that it is another story, and it may not happen in our site. And but if we see from a sociological viewpoint, or if we see from the viewpoint of knowledge management, the intrinsic part is the same. And so how to improve the quality of safety evaluation is very important, and we need some strategies, and also we need theory, how to improve the quality of safety evaluation. And in case of Fukushima, we have been thinking very, very seriously how to carry out the perfect knowledge management to realize the safety. And so the scientific approach is very important, but also, as our colleague said, that the institutional approach are very important, and some sort of independence, and also the clear definition of mission for each organization or each agency is very important, and clear design or transparent design, how to realize that kind of new concept in a proper way is our challenge. And we need to find out solution through the lesson of Fukushima.
I may
Okay.
add on to his comment. Diablo Canyon in the United States built on a fault line. It's working well because it's designed against 0.75 gravitational acceleration levels. And no plant in Japan has been built to that standard yet. There are technology during last 40, 50 years that wasn't used. If we want to make it bulletproof, and then we can go to small modular reactor, which can be designed with complete base isolation against seismic event. And also, that small modular reactor has been tested in submarines. Nuclear submarines should withstand an impulse from nuclear explosion 10 kilometers from submarines. So there is technology.
Okay. I think I promised this gentleman. Yes, a question.
One comment and one question. Dr. Furukawa and Professor Iwata both talked about provision of unified information and also transparency. And I think, in fact, two are incompatible. If you want to be transparent, you have to release all the information. Some are different information. If you try to provide only one unified information, you have to suppress some other information, different ones. But I think for the protection of the people, to be given different interpretation views from the government is a safer way. Because if you're only given only one interpretation, you are not sure that that is total truth. Question is to Professor Huan. I think the way it is in Japan, people will come up with stronger safety requirements now. But they will not care much about terrorist threats or other risks, man-made threats. And in that sense, I think Korea may be doing better. I came across with one news report which said Korean army had military exercise against possible attack against nuclear power station. So it seems to me that they are better prepared. Can you tell me a little more about this?
Thank you for a very significant question. The nuclear power is now changing phase. World, more and more population is looking nuclear power as one of axis of devil. And one politician, very influential person in Korea, called nuclear power and vicious flame. Now, the terrorism may come from general public because environmental activists, extremists may think it's their responsibility to eliminate those vicious flames. So we got to be a lot more careful than we used to. So in that sense, this Fukushima event unraveled and exposed vulnerability and weakness of nuclear power, especially electric power supply. And we also learned this bureaucracy, make a short circuit to every barriers that we have. So I think it's not only Korea, it's the whole world. Especially when you try to sell nuclear power to developing sector, we got to be careful, a lot more than we used to be. So not to be a person responsible for this major disaster in other country. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, gentleman over there.
Thank you. I'm Dominique Ganesh from France. It's short comment and short question. My comment is about the statement made by a colleague from the New York Times about building nuclear power plants on region with submitted to earthquake. We are, of course, building in France some nuclear power plants with earthquakes. The problem is to design the plants in order to sustain the highest possible earthquake. And I want just to remind, and after that I will ask my question, to remind that the Fukushima accident was not due directly to the earthquake. As far as I know, the reactor, were okay with the earthquake, or almost okay. And I remind also that there was 2 other nuclear power plants just close to the Fort Fukushima. Would it sustain the earthquake? The problem was with the tsunami itself, and with the flooding by water. This was the problem. Once again, it was not the earthquake itself. So my question is now why the 4 plants of Fukushima were not just a little bit higher from the sea level than the 2 others who did sustain the tsunami. It was not the case for the Fukushima. They should have been built a little bit higher, a few meters higher, and this would have been okay. It is as simple as this. Why it was not done like this?
I think one of the plants you were talking about was the Onagawa plant, which was which was in fact closer to the epicenter, but was okay. Right. Professor Iwata, would you like to address that question?
Yeah, as it is due to the imperfectness of our design engineering. As in the beginning, the main focus is how to improve the energy efficiency and to put some diesel engine in, or to prepare such kind of thing in the higher place. The energy efficiency is not so good. And so depending on the balance of design parameters, such kind of thing happened. But if someone recognizes the risks, they should improve that kind of thing. But also it is due to the cost issues. And so, but I think if we improve or enlarge the design window, that including the 1,000 years experience about tsunami or other kind of thing, and also the losses by accidents, then the real action, design action, can be taken. And so it depends on the design window and how to improve the transparency, and also how to evaluate the uncertainties or reliability or risks are to be clearly shown to everyone. Then the better solution we can get. And so the knowledge management projects have been kicked off in IAEA. And in that kind of project, all the tacit knowledge or all the fragments of knowledge are to be included in the way in parallel, and they should be reorganized in ad hoc way depending on the context or depending on the place, and also depending on the history of each site. And so our design technology is not enough. Premature, I think.
Dr. Suzuki, very briefly, do you think it will become more mandatory to put these nuclear power plants higher up in the future?
Well, I think depending on the outcome of the investigation, that it's definitely the measure against tsunami should be improved.
Okay, all right. Let me get a question from the young man over here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Konkhov Dmitry, Center for Energy and Security Studies, Russia. As Mr. Suzuki already said, that plans to build new and additional reactors were cancelled. So I'd like to ask about plans of creation, fuel cycle, plans of cooperation in international projects to construct nuclear power plants and reactors. What about these kind of plans? Thank you.
nuclear fuel cycle program has not been cancelled at this moment, and the international project at this moment still also not cancelled. What I said, the 14 nuclear power plants scrapped to zero, does not mean that eventually after that they may come back. We will start from zero, but it has not been totally cancelled. So it's depending on the outcome of the debate.
Okay. I think we have time for 2 more questions. So, yes, the gentleman over there. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks for Chairman. My name is Kishi Kang. I'm come from International Atomic Energy Agency. Thanks for Mr. Furukawa. You mentioned you want to some other international organization or due to IAEA mainly focus on promotions. I want to say real story. IAEA is 3 pillars. One is for safeguard, one is for safety, one is for technology. 2/3 is more focused on regulation. Only 1/3 is promotion. Therefore, agency is not only promotion organizations. Second thing is during the Fukushima accident, how are you doing IAEA? And then if you put in Google Fukushima, maybe you have received more than 10,000 papers. Which one is correct, which one is rumors? IAEA only provided reliable data and the sharing from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe, 151 country. Second one is we will try to get more real information. Therefore, we send our colleague to NISA. We have received data from Japanese language. We will translate to easy understanding for diplomatic peoples. Third one is we send the expert people to the Japan to give more reliance. Because of, in case US NRC ask 80 kilometer exclusion, NISA say 20 kilometer. And the Japanese normal public very, very worried about this one. We send the people, we check the data, we announced. This will give to helping Japanese government. Therefore, in the agency doing more focus in the safety and the regulations, only 1/3 is the technology. Because of, if you want to, every country they have light nuclear technology, therefore we will focus 100 countries to supporting technology. If 29 countries they already nuclear power plant, we will be support more regulation or more safety. For one information, since 1992, agency did not doing any peer review for Japan nuclear power plant. The reason Japan did not ask the agency for check their nuclear power plant. This is one of the happening this one. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Furukawa, would you like to add briefly to what you said?
Very briefly. I certainly
Very briefly.
understand and know your points, and this is certainly a very reasonable option that you're raising. I'm talking about political reality where IAEA is already tasked with these multiple pillars of missions, and there might be, and we have today this level of nuclear safety standard globally, and is it better that we would try to strengthen IAEA's function, or is it better for us to establish another independent, probably far smaller, but with more clear mission-oriented body? This is the proposals I'm making in order to invoke this debate. I'm not degrading the IAEA's efforts for safety at all, but this is an issue that we need to examine.
Okay, thank you. We have time for one very brief question. Please, yes, gentleman in the front. Yes. Mic for the gentleman here. Yes. Please don't make it a super, super difficult question.
Thank you. My name is Moon-hyun Chul. I'm the Chodang University professor. I'm a Ministry of Administration and Safety, Korea, counselor, policy counselor. I do not understand not operation crisis management manual, Fukushima situation. Not understand. My question focus what prepared crisis management, Japan government, and what prepare crisis management manual for Japan nuclear program? My question focus. My question, Professor Iwata and Furukawa, please.
Okay, so I think the question is the issue about the manual. Mr. Furukawa mentioned before that the manual looked good on paper, but it didn't work, right? So I'm not quite understanding exactly what you would like to ask. Mm-hmm.
Probably what kind of manual Japanese
manual?
Government?
Crisis management manual.
In the current Japanese law, the nuclear power operator has the obligation to ensure the safety and security of the nuclear power plants. And they have been conducting an exercise in cooperation with all stakeholders, and they have very thick manuals to actually enable all the multi-stakeholder coordination corporations in the event of nuclear emergency. The manual itself is classified. It's not openly available. However, in general, when there is some nuclear emergency incident happens, all stakeholders were supposed to establish coordination centers in the vicinity nearby the affected nuclear power plants. And that coordination center was supposed to operate and send information or share information or have press conference all together after examining all the relevant data and informations. But this system just was not respected by the current Prime Minister. Sorry, I can't hear you, but that's a situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much to all my panelists. I think the discussions can continue at dinner, and of course, our hearts go out to everybody who's lost anybody in the Fukushima incident. We just hope that their loss will not have been in vain, and that we will eventually come up with something that works and will make nuclear safety something that we will not have to worry about in the future. Thank you very much.
I need to make an announcement about dinner. We'll be having dinner